Hey Charlie, how's it going? So I wanted to speak to you about sex and gender. I think we have a disagreement there. Um, I feel like we can agree on sex. There are male, female. You're either born male, female, or in some cases, some instances, there's a case of intersex persons. But I think our disagreement lays with your interpretation or your take on gender and how it's directly linked to sex. And I just kind of want to see where what are your what's your thoughts on gender, or what are your what's your take? Because I'm not quite sure. I'm not really caught up on what you've
Sure. So gender's a made-up concept. Do you know who made it up?
who made it up.
A guy by the name of John Money in the 1960s.
Well,
And why did he make it up?
No, I was gonna say, wouldn't technically anything be a made-up concept?
No,
Or-
sex is not made up. You can look at sex. XX and XY chromosomes are not made up. A vagina and a are not made up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we're on the same page about
So
that.
sex is observing. Gender is creating something new. Totally different. We observe nature. Gender is creating a new thing out of thin air that has no applicability to our discourse or dialogue. So there are zero genders, two sexes, infinite personalities. We recognize that people have different personalities. We don't think you should get a different definition on the forms you fill out or how people talk to you, recognize you, or how you are treated.
You said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so the parts of the Civil Rights Act were great, but the way it's now being implemented to force men in female bathrooms to push forward of the trans agenda, the intent of the Civil Rights Act is way beyond what it was originally authored for.
But the intent specifically originally was to
Well, that's
desegregate-
interesting. So the intent and the law are two different things. So the intent was noble, which was to say that no American can be not allowed into a place of business based on the color of their skin or their ethnic heritage. Totally agreement with that. That's not what the law only did. It created a massive anti-racist DEI army that then gave us affirmative action. For example, recently Merrick Garland sued using the Civil Rights Act, saying that we cannot have voter ID in certain states because it's a violation of the Civil Rights Act. So basically what the Civil Rights Act did is that it went beyond disparate impact and then went to disparate effect. In the sense where if black Americans are not doing as well as white Americans in a certain category, you can now use the Civil Rights Act and say that's a violation of the Civil Rights Act, even though there might be other contributing factors. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's too broad, too wide, and it's now doing a lot of damage to the country. It's being used well beyond its original intent. Position. So when you say that we want to have a quota, that then you have to say we're not going to prioritize a certain group. Let me tell you what I believe, and maybe you might actually agree with it, because I think you do. What we believe as conservatives is that skin color really doesn't matter that much. We care about character and merit. We want a country built on what you bring to the table, not how you look.
Exactly. And America started out with that based on merit, and theoretically, it was supposed to work. In practice, it did not, which is why you have these different programs of affirmative action, DEI, and the Civil Rights Act,
Well, but
because they were not working.
embedded,
You cannot
though-
ignore that these policies were created to counteract racism. A counteract to racism is not racism in itself.
Well, I reject the premise, and I will say this. If you do something racist on top of something racist, that doesn't make the second racist action good. Because if you discriminate against white people to say that we're fighting racism, then that's not a good idea. But instead, I think you can agree that when we build a society like college admissions or job applications, we should say no quotas and just merit. You agree?
I agree for
with the way gender is expressed. You could, for example, you could have a, you could be a trans. Let me take this for example. If I was transgender, say I was born female, but with the way I present myself, if I shave my mustache, I shave my mustache, I dress like a male. When I'm walking down the street, you would think I'm a. What would you think I am?
What I think is irrelevant. You can disguise yourself to look something you are not. I can wear blackface. Do I become black?
No, no, of course
Oh,
not.
so wait, hold on. Then a man dresses like a woman, why does he become a woman?
It's not that he becomes a woman. It's he's seen and he's
But
he's
then why
seen
should
as
he be
a woman.
recognized as something that he's not?
It's not that he needs to. It's not that they need to be recognized.
Oh no, that's what it's all about. It's about recognizing a delusion. You can dress however you wish. You can act however you wish, but I'm not going to recognize your lie. In fact, you could get in trouble for mispronouncing in the state of California. We're teaching our kids you must pronoun correctly, and you actually have to certify the delusion. So again, I say if I wear blackface and I don't become black, why does a man who wear a dress become a woman?
It's not. I feel like it's not up for someone. I feel like it's not up for you to decide. I think it's up for the individual, and I think the way they express themselves through through either the way they express themselves through their through their apparel, through their attire. I think that's more indicative of
Okay,
how
then let's play that.
society- how
Let's play
society-
that. Then you're against DEI because DEI says quotas.
Yeah, let me finish. I agree to a certain extent. So when you mention about discriminating against whites, of course, I don't agree with that.
Well, that is DEI, just so we're clear.
Right, and I'm gonna say it again.
Cool, all right.
DEI was created to offset racism. We left it up to majority of white America to include people of color or qualifying credentials. They would not. So my argument is that you're saying it's reverse racism. My argument is that it needed to be there to counteract racism. Sounds like we need to find a different solution for both parties.
I have a great solution. Stop talking about race all the time. Race doesn't mean anything.
I think
Because I look at you not as a black guy, but as a human being made in the image of God, and I want to know what you bring to the table. Are you good at the job? Are you better than your competitor? Because let me just pause for a second. I just want you to hear out what we believe. Is that when you talk about race all the time, you start to resegregate society based on tribes, and you lose this idea of e pluribus unum, all made in the image of God, out of many one. And yes, we have made many mistakes in our past, but we were getting closer as a country in my childhood as being not obsessed with race. We've become more race obsessed over the last 10 years, especially the last 5 years, which is why we're seeing the anti-DEI movement, which actually ends up hurting people of color more than previously. And I guess the biggest question, though, is that why should race matter at all? Shouldn't we just de-emphasize it?
what I wanted
This out. If everyone can just choose however they want, should biological men who are born as a man be able to compete in female sports? I'm asking.
No, I don't believe that biological men should be in
Good.
women's sports.
And God bless you for saying that, because that's at. So here's another question: should biological men who identify as women be able to go into women's locker rooms?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Biological man, so he has a,
Okay.
and he says he's a woman. Should he be allowed to go into female locker rooms?
I mean, no. We have on campus. We have all gender restrooms on campus where males and females are.
I think that's a terrible idea, right? So, because male-female distinctions are critically important. It's how society is structured.
Yeah, but we have these shared spaces, and there hasn't been any sort of issues, or I think the major consensus surrounding it is that people are actually enjoy the the all gender bathrooms.
Let's talk about locker rooms, though. Do you think women would enjoy undressing next to a fully unclothed man?
No, I don't think so. I don't.
Okay, so then we should prohibit that. So we agree. So,
Yeah.
and then finally, do you think that a young 15-year-old here in California, a young boy who thinks he is a girl, should he be allowed to chop his off?
Can you say that again from the start? Real quick.
15-year-old boy in California. He thinks he's transgender.
Okay.
Should he be allowed to go chop his parts off?
Should he be allowed? I think that's a conversation for him and his medical and his doctor and his family. I mean, It's not my job to.
Should 15-year-olds be allowed to get tattoos?
Should 15-year-olds be allowed to get tattoos? No.
So you could, but you can't get a tattoo.
I think
first respond to is the notion of stop talking about race. I don't agree with that notion for the simple fact that talking about things bring awareness. Awareness leads to actions. Actions produce change results. I just want to use your logic and flip it on you. Imagine if you had cancer and your doctor was like, let's just stop talking about it. It wouldn't, in the same context that racism wouldn't go away.
Got it.
Cancer wouldn't go away.
Let's accept that premise.
Not.
Do you think racism is a top 100 problem in America?
I think it is. I haven't considered the other 99 to give a thorough.
Crime, fathers not being around, obesity, suicide, mental health issues,
For sure.
anxiety, cost of college, an open border, Russian-Ukrainian war, nuclear proliferation, artificial intelligence, the rise
Right.
of China. Like, all that's probably more important than racism. So
I'm not saying it is or isn't.
But
It's
however,
you're kind of
if I,
changing the
but
subject.
no, I'm not. But I'm to say, use your premise. If I have cancer, that's the most important thing happening to me.
Correct.
Racism is not a cancer on America. Racism is sin, and we'll never get rid of sin because we are broken, fallen creatures from our Creator, and we rebelled.
Right,
So
but you do not solve issues by not discussing them. If you and your wife have, I'm not sure if you're married, if you and your wife have a disagreement with communication, and you tell her, like, hey, let's just stop talking about our problems.
actually
So problems do not disappear.
I actually don't think it's an issue nearly as much as you do. I think we've made it a bigger issue.
I'm not making it a bigger issue. I'm just discussing. This is just my talking
I'm
point.
saying generally, but like, let's just say And then I do want to get your definition, though. What is racism?
Racism is a form of feeling superiority. It is expressed through discrimination and through the legal system.
Oh, fair enough. So we agree that's wrong and it's terrible. So we should get rid of practices that actively discriminate against anybody based on race. Can you be racist against white people?
Can I? Or
Yes.
black people?
No, can a black person like yourself be racist against a white person?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. We agree, and you should be applauded for that because some people on the left think you can't be racist against white people.
So
Some,
just,
not
ju-
all.
Just to speak for black people,
That's quite a statement, but sure.
well, let me speak for the majority who are of my opinion. So when blacks who, let's say, have disdain for whites, it is not based on racism. It is based in cause and effect. It is normal for anybody to hate a suppressor. It is normal for anybody to hate their. It is normal for anybody to hate their murderers. America went to war with the British Empire for being suppressed and oppressed. So my concluding point is that a lot of the hate that can be perceived from blacks as white is hating oppression, not white people. Because if you substitute our oppression for a Mexican, if a Mexican oppresses us, we therefore hate him as well. If a black man oppresses us, we therefore hate oppression.
I think that's a fair point. Let me ask one final question, if that's okay. If you had to decide which is a bigger problem facing black America, racism or a lack of fathers raising black kids, which is a bigger problem?
I would say what.
I don't think that's really that comparative.
Well, they're both irreversible, right? Actually, one matters a lot more for human flourishing than the other.
No, I would definitely agree. It's a very, what's it called? It's a very life-altering process, and I think it requires a lot of time, and it requires a lot of time, and it shouldn't be something that should be just jumped into. I just think that's something for an individual and their family and their doctors to decide, and not for society or the state.
Last question, most important question: what is a woman?
A woman, you know it when you see it. You know, it's like if I look, she looks like a woman. 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 It's the way you express yourself. So. Like, all these, it's the way you express yourself.
So, if you basically, womanhood is a costume.
I'm not saying that now.
No, it is. Yeah, if you're able to wear the right stuff and just assume the identity, you can appropriate womanhood. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. Is Caitlyn Jenner a woman?
Yes.
Why?
Why is she a woman?
What chromosomes does Caitlyn Jenner have?
I mean, I think her chromosomes don't have to deal with her gender. Like, I think that's where the disagreement lies. Is that
Yeah. Again, so this is where you are playing into this narrative that gender exists. We reject that paradigm completely, because gender has led us to this place that your own personal self-expression matters to your core identity. And again, that means nothing. Infinite personalities, no genders, two sexes. And we must live in reality, not in the delusions of the heads of people that want us to accommodate their fantasy. Thank you very much for your time.
What impact? You repeat the question?
If you had to decide in a binary choice, which is a bigger problem facing black America, racism or a lack of fathers raising black youth?
I think it's a combination of both, but for sure we'll say black, because blackness affects blacks more than you ever affect me in my life.
I'm sorry, so you said you would say racism or the black fathers?
Fathers.
I agree. So now we have agreement. Do you agree that the last 5 years we've talked more about racism and way less about dads staying around with the women they impregnate? Would you agree that's probably a problem?
I agree that's a problem amongst all races. When you say we, who is we?
Well, as a society, but it's especially a problem in black America. If you had to guess, I know this is like Trivial Pursuit, but approximate, what percentage of black youth have a stable father around?
I wouldn't know those numbers, sir.
It's about 30%. So that means that 2 out of 3 black kids do not have a dad around.
I will have to fact check that for myself.
That's fine. You can
I'll
look it
watch
up.
A few of your
You
videos.
guys can look it up on Grok or ChatGPT or Perplexity or the AI of your choice, right? And so here's our perspective as conservatives, because this is a colorblind truth. See, as conservatives, we apply things that are true to all human beings regardless of their skin color. That if you don't have a dad around, you're more likely to commit crimes, go to jail, more likely to basically be on the outer fringe of society. When 2 out of 3 black youth don't have dads around, That's a big, big problem. And it creates a cycle of violence and poverty. That's not racism, that's culture. And the cultural problems happening in Black America, the white people are not doing that to Black
Do we
America.
not look at the sources of poverty? When I spoke about redlining, that was literally whites forcing blacks into ghettos because they would not give us houses.
No one's going to defend that.
We cannot ignore that.
No one's going to defend that. But
we cannot ignore who created poverty, who created the ghettos.
Let me ask a simple
question.
question.
It's disingenuous.
Well, hold on. Just because you're poor doesn't mean you have to leave the woman you impregnate.
Correct.
That does not transcend every racial group. I want an answer, though, because I'm curious. Why is it that so many black men leave the women that they impregnate, more so than any other group? Why is that? Is that the white person's fault?
No.
So maybe the biggest problem facing Black America is self-actualized,
Right. I'm not arguing,
external.
I'm not arguing what's the biggest and smallest problem. I was just asking you about
No, but
white privilege, because it exists.
For sure. But what I'm arguing is that as a society, we had entire years of corporate apologizing, television advertisements talking about racism in America, and zero attention saying, hey, dudes of all colors, don't impregnate women and abandon them because you're cowards. Why hasn't anybody ever said that? Because that actually would fix the country.
What makes you think that hasn't been said amongst the black community?
Can you
I'm a black father. It's been...
Well, thank you. Amazing. Can you point to a single black artist, rapper, or athlete that has said that in the last decade?
About specifically saying black fathers should be involved in their children's life?
No, saying don't abandon the women you impregnate.
Oh, they haven't said it in those words, but they do promote black family ties, which is
Do you think
essentially the same thing.
I'm not trying to nitpick, but do you think most rappers promote staying with their family or not staying with the women that they impregnate?
The rappers that I listen to, the J. Cole's, the Kendrick Lamars, they preach family values.
Okay, I'm not an expert in American rap, but if American rap is promoting family values, then I guess I'll stand.
Not in its full totality. You have different genres of rap. You know, you have gangster rap, conscious rap, hip hop, so forth and so on. But for the artists that I listen to, they absolutely promote those type of values that you promote.
I'm glad to hear that.
I actually agree with many of your conservative takes.
Thank you.
I disagree with some as well. That's just because I think for myself.
We agree on a lot. We disagree on some. I can say this, that we both want a country based on merit, and I think we should keep that as our ultimate goal and purpose. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.